Hey guys, this is Maji from Maji Toots. Today we will talk about ideal post length and also add another few things to the mix. This is actually a very interesting topic and also a topic that many bloggers have already talked about on their channels. However, I follow a somewhat different approach when it comes to post length. If you do follow bloggers that know about SEO and have some knowledge in the field, you will always hear that longer content does better than shorter content. And this is something that I would definitely agree to. In my opinion, however, it is much more difficult than that. You can't just say that 2500 words, for example, is the ideal post length. While 2500 words is generally speaking a very good length for your posts, in some cases maybe 1000 words would absolutely be enough to rank on top of Google, while in others you would need at least 4000 words to rank on top of Google. And obviously post length is just one of many hundred factors that come into play when we're talking about Google rankings. But I'm absolutely positive that content is still king in 2019 and will also be in 2020. And especially for smaller publishers and people that just started with a new blog, focusing on content and writing long blog posts is absolutely key to rank well on Google. But you shouldn't rely just on random numbers about post length, because the post length that you should aim for is very closely related to the topic and also to the scope of your article. And I do feel that not enough people out there talk about the scope as one of the key elements of this question. So what do I mean if I say scope? The scope of your article is the extent of the area or subject matter that your text deals with. And my advice to you guys is to focus the post length of your article more around the question of scope. So rather than just relying on random numbers like 2500 words for a certain kind of post, 4000 words for another kind of post, it makes much more sense to think about the scope of your article and base the number of words that you write on that rather than just random numbers. And now let me finally reveal the secret here. The secret to write the perfect blog post in terms of post length is to write an article with the smallest scope possible, which is a scope that still allows you to write enough words. So the question is really, how far can you break things down? What is the smallest possible keyword that you can choose that will still enable you to write content, and only content that is both relevant and on topic? Now that I revealed that the scope of the article is actually the key element to write the perfect blog post in terms of length, it is time that we will have a look at some examples. First of all, we are heading over to google.com. And please make sure that you're in the incognito mode, because if you're not, the search results will be personalized and they won't reflect the actual rankings. So let's say we're searching about something like hand luggage tweezers, because we are interested if tweezers are allowed in hand luggage or not. When we search for that, we will see that the first search result here in a featured snippet is from smartertravel.com. And now let me open that article. The first thing that we will see here is that the answer to that question seems to be in an article about airport security frequently asked questions. So that already tells you two things. The first thing is that the scope of this article is actually very big. It's not only just talking about tweezers, it seems. It actually talks about many different things, the FAQs about airport security. And when we browse through that text, we will see that Yeah, it's talking about liquids, about medications, baby formula, milk, all kinds of things. So the scope is extremely big of this article. And if I'm going to search for tweezers in that text, I see that here the answer is just given in one of those questions in that as part of this FAQ. So if you would like to write an article about tweezers in hand luggage, this shows you that you would have very good chances to rank better than that article. Why is that? Because the scope of this article is far too big. The scope, if somebody is searching for tweezers in hand luggage, he would like to find the most informative post about just that topic. However, here the best answer is just inside of an FAQ. So this is really not an optimal answer here. If you write a text with in the title tweezers in hand luggage, are they allowed or not? That's definitely a better starting point already. And then the scope would be very small. So probably there, if you write that in 1,000 words, that would already be enough, because it's still much more than has been written here in this as part of this FAQ. Maybe this FAQ here is much more than 1,000 words, it's maybe 2,000 words, but the actual part that treats tweezers is just a few sentences. So what I'm trying to tell you guys as far as scope goes is also, let's say you're also writing an article about airport security FAQs. Then you would also maybe find this post here ranking number 1. And you would use a website where you can see the word count of that article. You can actually use wordcounter.net to do that, and you can copy the text in there and you will see immediately how long the text is. And you would maybe find out that this text here is 2,000 words. And if you would write about something with a scope as big as this one, so you would also write about airport security FAQs, then you would most certainly need to write more than this here to outrank that post. So the question in our case would be, how far can you break things down? How can you write about the smallest scope possible and still reach enough words? Because if you're going to publish a post, it should always be at least, let's say, 750 words. You can't just publish something with 300 words. It usually never ranks well. So the question is, if you are going to write about tweezers in hand luggage, can you still write maybe 1,000 words just about tweezers in hand luggage, which after all has a very narrow scope? And that's exactly what I did here in this article. I just wrote about tweezers in hand luggage. And I still managed to write quite a lot about it. And this shows you actually why I said that the question of post length is not just always should I write 2,500 words for let's say for a response post, and for a bigger post like one of the keywords in my niche, people will say you need to write at least 4,000 words. So I don't think that there are fixed numbers for that. You always have to check what the competition is doing, and you should always double check what kind of scope their article is focused around. The one we have seen is absolutely not treating just the topic of tweezers in hand luggage, yet it is ranking number 1 for that keyword. But that should tell you that you can maybe choose a more narrow scope and then just max out the words for that more narrow scope. And that is usually a very good idea to do, and that's what I'm always trying to do. Because lots of people, they write about far too big topics, and that will allow you to outrank them if you're just choosing fragments of that and write the maximum amount of words about a very narrow scope. So, in my opinion, the art of this whole thing is, can you actually manage to write a lot of words about a very small topic? And if you can, that's most of the time this is a very good thing to do. Let's consider this article here that I wrote some time ago. Eye drops in hand luggage. So if you think about that topic, how much is there to say about it? You would probably think that, well, I don't know, I can maybe say that in 100 words, and yeah, you probably could. But if you do some more thorough research, and if you do have some knowledge about the topic, I have written about these kind of things for years. So I was able to manage to write maybe, let's say, 500 or 700 words on that topic alone. And what I'm trying to tell you here is again, instead of writing liquids in hand luggage, that's also how you could tackle that post. You should try to write as specific as possible and max out the words. Because if I would just simply write about all kinds of liquids in hand luggage, that would be a huge kind of keyword, and it would be much more difficult to rank well with that. But as I just wrote about one certain aspect about liquids in hand luggage, because I just want to rank this article for eye drops in hand luggage, it's much better to just focus on that and write and give the most thorough information you can about just this very small topic. So I chose a topic with a very small scope, where I still felt comfortable that I could reach at least 500 to 700 words. Usually I aim for at least 1,000 words, but sometimes 700 can be sufficient. You will always need to check the rankings and see what others did. If somebody also has a post about eye drops in hand luggage and has a very narrow scope, you would always want to make sure that you write more than this other person. So if somebody already has a text on that, which is 1,000 words, I would only write that text if I feel comfortable that I can manage to write maybe 1,500 or 2,000 words. If I already know that I won't be able to do that, I won't even try to write it. So there you have it, guys, the concept of scope in relation with post length. This was part 1 of our scope series, and there will be part 2 and part 3. So if you did enjoy this video, I would be most grateful if you could subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. See you soon in part 2 of the series, and have a nice day. Bye, guys.